Hello and welcome back. Thank you for joining me. We've got a conversation today that is a question asked by one of you, which I always invite. So thank you for asking the question. What we're doing on this series of videos, if you're new or you haven't tuned in for a while, is we're going through the text of A Course in Miracles, and I'm more than happy at any point to take a pause out of that procession, out of that parade. The text will still be there when we get back, right? We'll happily take time out to answer any particular questions that you might have. And today's conversation is just such a question. And it's one that I am willing to bet you have as well. So if you have questions that you'd like to have me cover here, this is an open invitation to everyone to ask them. I'm very interested in what's coming up for you live. So today's question, and I thank you for this, is let's talk about the statement, the world was over long ago. Mm. The world was over long ago. If you're a long-time course student, think about how often in your mind you've wrestled with this one. And if you're newer to this material or you're just checking this out, consider this. There is no world. Okay, the end, period. Yeah, really, there is no world. This is the central teaching of A Course in Miracles. Here's what this means. We're all perfectly at home in God as part of Him. Yeah. Like extends like. We're the Son of God, the creation of God. He created us exactly like Him as an extension of Himself. Like extends like. God doesn't do geopolitical boundaries, for starters. There is no separation of any kind. God doesn't do war or separation, guilt, blame, or fear. There is no separation of any kind. So there can't, in truth, even be one nation state and another nation state. There is no separation of any kind. There cannot be one planet and other separate planets. There is no separation of any kind. So, what we appear to see here on this spinning ball of rock shows us otherwise. Well, this appears to be our reality where we appear to be this this thing that you see here. And when you look in the mirror, you see something and you call it the reflection of you. And then when you go like this, you think, oh, okay, I'm touching my cheek. And you appear to be separate from all of the other 8 billion of us. And that doesn't even include all of the other multitudinous life forms that appear here on this spinning ball of rock. There is no world. So when Jesus tells us this in the text of A Course in Miracles, he goes on to rightly comment that, well, who's really ready to admit that? Who's really ready to accept that this is not your home? Who's ready to really go there and take this direct approach of A Course in Miracles? I mean, you may be. Welcome. This course just points us to truth. And yeah, it uses words, lots of words. This video series uses a pixelated image on your screen assembled in the form, or the guise, if you prefer, of a middle-aged man from Arizona who today appears to be wearing what we call a blue shirt. This thing, we call it a shirt, this color, we call it blue. It's all a collection of sounds. When something lands for you, it's your inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, talking. Count on that. So this is what's appearing to you. There is no world. I invite you to come back to this idea over and over again. Also, as a basic foundational premise, I mean, really a bedrock, a foundational idea, the separation that we appear to see, separation from our brother, separation from every living thing, and the separation from God never occurred. There is no separation of any kind. The separation never took place. It is impossible. There is only perfect oneness, which is not divisible into 8 billion plus separate component parts. This spinning ball of rock is not our home, and this fallible, highly fallible device is not our home either. We've made it quite the opposite here, where it appears to be. So that begs on the spiritual path the very good question, what do I do while I'm here? Well, enter the study and practice of this course. So these ideas, these basic ideas, seem to boggle the mind, and every single course student has wrestled with this to some degree or another, because the body's eyes and our sensations, our sensory experiences seem to say to us, this world is real. I'm a body. I'm a human being. I'm this, I'm that. Labels, artificial. But, right? Well, but nothing. We're invited to accept truth just as it is. And the more you allow yourself to go there, the more mind-blowingly fabulous, for lack of a better word, it is. Scintillating, that expansive, awesome, whatever adjective, all words ultimately fail. Truth can only be experienced, it can only be known. So, what we're doing here is we're pointing to it. There is no world. The separation never occurred. So, let's go into a little bit more detail here. Let's start with the truth that there is no time. And when you think about it, that may sound absolutely untrue. BS. I mean, you may find yourself thinking that. If you are, great, fantastic. Everyone has. Yeah. I mean, there are many possible reactions to hearing A Course in Miracles. I mean, it could be that you experience an abject rejection of these ideas, yet you're still here. And that is because these often ring true for us when we hear them, and they serve as a confirmation, oftentimes, not necessarily for you right now, today, but this is one of the possible reactions. a confirmation, a deep sense of profound, loving gratitude and relief to know, yeah, I've always thought that. I've always known, yes, yes, exactly. You've always known. Time is an artificial construct. Let's think about it, break it down. Yeah, that's what we've done. What exactly is a second anyway? What's a minute? And why are there 60 seconds in a minute? We made it up. What are all of our measurements? Hours, days, weeks, months, years, decades, centuries, millennia. There is only perfect oneness, i.e., God, which is eternal and constant and unchanging. Time is an artificial separation device in which 1 minute appears to be separate from the next. 1 second appears to be separate, even though they appear to flow in some sort of a continuum. We've made that all up. It's a separation device. We appear separate from our brothers in time. There are people, perhaps relatives, friends, family members that have gone before us and passed away. There are those who aren't yet born. We appear separate in time. And even here on Spinning Ball of Rock, we've artificially segmented this artificial spinning ball of rock into 24 15-degree slices of longitude that we call time zones. So you may not be in the Mountain Standard Time that I appear to be in Arizona. So it's a different time where you are. We appear to be separate in time. All of it completely, wholly, and totally artificial. Space, too, is artificial. That's the separation device, isn't it? You appear to be sitting in a different place than I'm sitting in. That we appear to be in separate spaces. Yeah. Hmm. There's no time. So when we see time, when we choose to see time, when we choose to see ourselves as separate in space, we're looking at a past frame of reference. We don't see things as they are now. The actual now, present moment, i.e., God, is eternal and unchanging, constant. Totally and completely constant. That's what is. Now, we don't see things as constant. We see constant change here in the world. We don't see things as they are. Our perception is upside down. You might say it's upside down and backwards. So this course is about turning it right side up. Once we do completely turn it right side up, truth dawns of itself. That's awakening. That's realizing God, enlightenment, call that whatever you wish. It's the peace of God, which is eternal. And that's what we all want. Whether we consciously say that or accept that or not. It's why we're all on the spiritual path. I mean, really, no matter what the spiritual traditions that you've practiced or currently practice or are interested in, this course is just one of many doors, naturally. And that's why we're all on what we call the path, is because we have heard the call of the Holy Spirit. Yeah, call it whatever you want, our inner teacher, this part of our mind that will teach us if only we let him. You gonna let him? It's the invitation to all of us all the time. Our inner teacher will lead us as far along the path as we're willing to be led today. We will be able, under our teacher's guidance, to let go of as much fear as we're willing to let go of. So it's said in A Course in Miracles that because our perception is upside down, we're looking at the past. And we are. This was over long ago, precisely because it never took place. This is a dream. You may have heard that from other spiritual traditions. This is a dream. That's why we call it awakening. We are literally, when we look with the body's eyes, looking at the past. Think about the stars at night when you look up into a dark night sky. We would readily accept, because people tell us so, even scientists that are skeptical of this, you know, they would readily accept, and they're the ones that tell us that when we look at stars, that star may not even be there right now. We're looking back in time because it takes the light so long to reach our eyes here on Spinning Ball of Rock that that star could long ago have burst and exploded, and we're looking at the past. The past. The past. It's an idea that isn't necessarily automatic because we've been conditioned to think that this is our reality. In fact, it's a dream. Now, when we're dreaming at night, this is a helpful analogy. All of the visions and things that we experience appear to be really happening to us. It looks real, it sounds real, smells, tastes, and feels real. We have all kinds of experiences. Many of them defy and flat out violate the laws of what we call Newtonian physics and things like that that appear to govern spinning ball of rock. Yeah, well, yeah, all these things seem real, and then we wake up and we realize they were not real. In fact, it never took place. It never took place. It was a dream. So the more we hear the idea that this is a dream, the more we attenuate ourselves to the idea that this is, in fact, just a dream. Now, if someone comes at you in a taxi, you can defend yourself or get away, right? There are people that need this device. You can reach certain people better than I can. Who will they be? The Holy Spirit will bring them to you. So, what we do is we appear to live what we call a normal life. Go to the gym if you like to go to the gym. If you eat healthy food, right? We appear to live a normal life here in the world, but we don't have to believe that it has a single shred of reality. In fact, the only things that can even be said to be real here on Spinning Ball of Rock are our loving thoughts. We are looking at the past. We don't see things as they are now. As they are now, this isn't here. So that is, I mean, that's really why. Heaven is continuous. Heaven is completely unchanging. God doesn't do change. And we should be very happy for that because we're often shown an image of a jealous God, like a jealous monarch that can't stand that somebody ate an apple. Yeah. So he's going to throw you out of the garden. Yeah, no. Because that would imply that there's something outside the garden. That's a separation. Impossible. There is no separation of any kind. God doesn't do hate. He doesn't do guilt, blame, fear, or division of any kind. We've made that up. So, what you may be thinking, and you're absolutely right if you are, is that we actually, having made this up, have the power to unmake it. Yes, we do. You do. You have the power to set all of this aside. What we do is we offer the Holy Spirit, our inner teacher, just this, what the Course calls little willingness to do just that. Even just a fraction of a second is enough for him to completely rush in and run the show in that fraction of a second. So if you give him more than a fraction of a second, that's enough for him to come in and run the show for that more than fraction of a second. And you could extend that. What if you did? What if you accepted truth just as it is? What then? Yeah. This is a dream. So my hope is that this has been helpful. Let's have some practical conversation here before we wrap up about doubt. Yeah, about the doubt that we all here experience on the path. Every course student has experienced this doubt. So if you're experiencing doubt right now, thinking, okay, this sounds well and good here in this context of a video, or it sounds well and good in the abstract when I'm reading it, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I can go there. All right, well, not a problem. We've all experienced this. A large part of the remedy for this is in repetition. I mean, this is a course in mind training. How does one train the mind? Through repetition. It's a very common statement to say here, I don't understand this. Very common, and we've all been there. So let's think about what's really going on, though, because you do understand it. You may think, no, no, I don't. What are you talking about? Well, a part of us does understand. I mean, really, if we absolutely blanket completely didn't understand, and this made absolutely no sense at all on any level, even subconscious, we wouldn't do it. So we spend so much time attempting to grapple with these ideas with the intellectual thinking mind. Let that go. Does that have some value? Sure. These ideas are very simple. All we do is accept that God is, period. The separation never occurred. Yeah, who, what, and where are you? You, mm, right? Yes, you know this to be true. Deep down, we all do. So there's a part of a deep part of us that we may have buried substantially that knows, that just recognizes truth when we experience it, hear, see, taste, touch, feel, coming from a pixelated image on your screen, or from a book, or from our own experience. We deep down do know. I know you know. We all do. Now, the question then becomes, how much are we willing to accept it today? How much are we willing to allow ourselves to be led by our inner teacher along the path today? And if you want proof, not a problem. Here's how we get proof. Do it. I know. I won't prove anything to you, but you will. The best way that we learn this material is through practical application. This is true of all spiritual traditions. I mean, it is. Think about it. It's all about practical application and experience. Spirituality is about experience. How do we really come to accept truth just as it is? Well, we have to put the ideas into practice. When we do, honestly, when we honestly do, our experience demonstrates to us that these ideas are true. It shows us, or if you prefer, it proves to us that these ideas are true. Want proof? Good. Furnish proof. Prove it to yourself. That's how we best learn, when our experience shows us these ideas are true. That creates, if you want to call it a chain reaction, it's a positive chain reaction. It's quantum, it's exponential. Those are all just words, but it's joyous. And these moments, these glimpses are beyond words, because truth is beyond words. It's so joyous and happy and expansive and full of life. It's life itself. It's beyond our concept of language. It can be experienced, however, right here, right now. So we're invited to let go of our past frame of reference. This separation never occurred. It's said here in A Course in Miracles that not one note of heaven's song was missed in this apparent separation which never happened, meaning it's nothing. I mean, if not one note was even missed, then it's nothing. It never took place. And this is most certainly a dream from which we're all awakening. And you are well along the path. To even be interested in spirituality at all means that you're well along the path. Think of all of the people that do not appear to be interested in this in any way, including some of your friends and family members, perhaps even your spouse or your kids. But you're here. And not only that, you're also interested in A Course in Miracles, a direct approach that comes right out and says it, God is the only reality. Love, life. We're the Son of God. Like extends like. God has, in our creation, extended himself. There is no separation of any kind, remember? So my hope is that this very deep conversation has been of some help to you. Thank you so much for asking this question. And again, I really do want to invite these questions. They're excellent because not only will you hopefully get something of value in your own path, in your own study and practice of this course, I guarantee you that around spinning ball of rock and these wild artificial things that we call different time zones, there are people that have the exact same question, and you've just helped somebody on the other side of the world and perhaps influenced their trajectory in positive, uplifting, and beautiful ways that you can't even imagine. But we don't know. It's part of the beauty of this technology and the fact that we appear to be here in this thing called 2024, in this artificially created thing called the Gregorian calendar. You know, it's a unit of time, but here in this apparition, we have the internet, another apparition that we made up, which can be brought to and used for the Holy Spirit's purposes right here. So I thank you for joining me. If you have questions, please feel free to ask them. If you have not yet subscribed and this speaks to you on some level, because it clearly does, or you wouldn't still be here, I do invite you to subscribe. The prompt is here in the corner of your screen. Just click that arrow and you'll be invited to join us. Please do. And I will see you all again on the next video. Thank you again for the question, and thank you for joining me.